Hey, it's Coach Liz here. So today I'm going to show you just how to get started in Myfitnesspal and macro tracking. If you are new to macro tracking, it's day one of your program, your coach gave you your macros, what do you do now? So first thing you're going to do is set your goals in Myfitnesspal. Now, if you have the unpaid version, you're going to have to go by percentages. So you'll put in your total calories and then you'll get it as close as you can to amount of grams that your coach gave you. So we usually don't work in percentages. We just give you a certain amount of grams. So you're going to have to play with those numbers until you get as close as you can to the right amount. So for example, this person's carbs are 235. I got it to 231. That's as close as I could get. Fat should be 55 and protein should be 155. So just play with those numbers. You just keep changing it up until you get the right amounts, and then you just save those. Now, as far as training and rest days, if I gave you different amounts for those days, again, the premium version allows you to put different days of the week, different macro goals. If you don't have the premium version, you don't have to do that, but I would either go in and manually change it on your rest days or just make a note on your notepad on your phone of what your rest day macros are and just make sure that you know that it's different so that you're not looking at those numbers. So yeah, I'm going to show you like exactly how you would go about planning your food. So we're going to go, and I already have this example set up. This is someone's plan that I just wrote up. And what you want to do is you want to start right from the get-go with your Peri workout nutrition. Now, Peri workout is your pre-workout, your intra-workout, and your post-workout meals. Why are we starting with those? We have specific amounts of carbs, fat, and protein for those meals specifically. Most of the carbs for your day are going to be around your workout, and that is because we want you to have the best performance. We want the carbs to fuel your workouts. So that's the reason we're doing that. So we got to start with those meals, because if you just start with your breakfast and lunch and then you just have like random amounts left, you're not going to hit those goals. So let's start with the intra. I usually have someone doing juice or Gatorade. I know this person mentioned to me they like to use juice. I didn't spell that right. All right, so you're going to type that in. You can type in the exact brand that you're using. This person only has 20 grams of carbs for their intra workout, so I'm going to just make sure. The default was 8 ounces, but you can change from 8 to 1 and then just do how many servings you need. So if you needed a little bit more, you could do 6.5. Not letting me do that. Here you go, 6.5, and that would be 23 grams, but we're going to stick with 6 here. Then we're going to add that to the diary. Now the next one is going to be EAAs. Let's see, morphogens and I put it under my foods. Here we go. I was showing someone how to log alcohol as well. I'll show that later. So we want to add that in. Okay, so this, put it at the very bottom because I just added it as a food in there. So morphogen, you're going to add that in there. You might need to add that to your own database. You can just create a food in here. I can do another video on that later if people need it. But you'll add in your EAAs. Now on the label, it says 0 calories, but there are 5 grams of protein in there. So I made a custom food for that. Now, as far as creatine, I usually use Legion Recharge. And we'll add that in there. Okay, so that's your intro workout. Now, pre-workout. This person's pre-workout meal is 45 carb, 25 protein, 4 fat, and 3 fiber. So you want to keep fiber low here. So what we're going to do is cereal. I like to do rice checks. I have long nails and it's hard to type right now. So rice checks. I usually go by grams. So I'm just going to look for an entry that has grams on here. All right, so let's do 1 gram. Usually a serving is 40 grams, so let's see where we're at there. That's 34 grams of carbs, so we're gonna go with that because I always like to add some fruit into my pre-workout meal. So let's add some blueberries. With fruit or vegetables, I always like to go with USDA entry. It's usually a little bit more accurate. I always change it to 1 gram and then just change the serving size to however many I need. So let's try 50 and see where that takes us. All right, so that brings us to 41 grams so far. I'm going to add some almond milk. Okay, so let's do 1 milliliter, and for cereal, I usually only use like half a cup, so add that in there. Good, and then even Weight Plus, cinnamon, cereal, just whatever protein you like. Again, you could do chicken, you could do whatever you want, but I like doing this for my pre-workout, so I'm just showing an example. One thing I like to point out about protein powder is like a serving is around 30 grams, but you can change that as much as you need to. So I change it to 1 gram, and then let's see, I said I need 26 grams of protein, so let's see what I need to get that. That would be 35 grams. So you don't have to do a 30 gram, like 1 scoop. I weigh it out on the scale and just do as much as I need to reach my goal. So there was a little bit of protein in the cereal though, so I'm gonna back that back down to 30 grams. So a 30 gram scoop would have been fine in this instance, but there's times where you need more protein in your meal. You do not have to stick to that exact amount that they have in a scoop. Okay, so that's my pre-workout meal. I hit all my goals. So my goal is 45 carb. If I wanted to dial that in exactly, I could do like 55 grams of blueberries. There we go. I'm at 45. 4 grams of fat. I just try to stay like under 7 grams, and then 25 grams of protein. If I really wanted to be nitpicky about that, I can try 28 grams of whey protein. And there you go. So it's really about like just playing around with the grams of everything. It's really not that hard. I know it can be overwhelming, but if the numbers don't add up to what your goal is, just play around with like 5-10 grams of the servings of each type of food there. All right, and then we are going to add the post-workout meal. So that is going to be chicken breast. Now you can do raw or cooked. It's totally up to you. Just be consistent. I like to weigh mine cooked personally, so that's just how I always log it. You can do it in grams or ounces. I like to do grams, so my goal is 35 grams of protein. So let's see. That is 31. I'm just going to add it because some of my other items might have some protein in it. So 100 grams of chicken breast. We're going to do some jasmine rice cooked. 100 grams. My goal is 50 grams of carbs in this meal, so we can do 125. Not enough. 150. That's 42, so I'm going to add that because I like to put in some fruit there too. So whatever fast digesting carb source you like in your post-workout meal. I'm just using examples that I use all the time. Again, USDA is usually the best example. If I use a lot of pineapple, it hurts my tongue, so I usually go with about 50 grams. Now let's see where we're at. That brings us to 49 grams of carbs. So protein, I'm 1 gram over my goal. Again, you don't have to be like as precise. You can do like 98 grams if you want. If you're trying to be like exactly on the dot, that's all you have to do. Like, I think people really struggle with this part is like, how do I get that extra gram of protein? It's like you literally just change the serving size. And that's why I like to use grams instead of ounces, because just changing a couple grams can tweak what you need. So for example, the pineapple, I'm going to do 55 instead. We're at 49 grams. You could add another couple grams of rice. And there you go. And again, it's very similar here. We want to just keep fats pretty low. I do like to add a little bit of coconut oil to my jazzy rice personally. 1 milliliter, like just a little bit, and this is going to reflect on your fat. So again, keeping it like under 7 or 8 grams is the best, just to keep it fast digesting. So we're still at 8 grams of fat here. That's a good rule of thumb. Okay, so now we have our pre-workout, our inter-workout, and our post-workout meals logged in there. Now we have the remaining amounts right here. So still have 114 grams of carbs, still have 46 grams of fat, and still have 89 grams of protein. This is a male's plan, so he has a higher fiber goal. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do a breakfast. So you can just split everything evenly from here. So this person, that's probably going to be his last meal. He works out kind of later in the day, so I'm not going to do a meal 5. So basically I'm going to try to split everything else between those first 2 meals. That is a lot of protein, so I might do something like a protein shake at the end of the day. But we're just going to start plugging things in and see what works. So breakfast. Eggs are a great, oh, there's some right there already. So eggs, add those in. Turkey bacon, I think that was already on the list. 2 slices. And we want foods with fiber. So you can see I already used this as an example before, but raspberries are a great a great source of fiber. And again, an example is like people usually eat like this tiny amount of raspberries, but a good serving like that has a lot of fiber is almost like 3/4 of one of those little containers that they come in. So don't be afraid to eat like a good hefty serving of berries, because there's not a lot of calories in them. If you look here, I'll add that in there. 125 grams is only 66 calories, only 15 grams of carbs. For this person, I am also going to add in an English muffin. Let's go with Thomas's. 1 muffin. Add that in. So now we are at 27 protein, 14 fat, and 40 grams of carbs. That's a good amount there for a meal. And probably want a little bit of oil or real butter to put on that English muffin. So again, I like to measure these things in grams, not tablespoons. So there we go, 1 gram, 5 grams. So get used to measuring everything in grams. So again, 5 grams is just 1 gram of fat. It's not a lot. If we want to do 10 grams, that's going to be 2 grams of fat. But versus doing a whole tablespoon, we really don't need to do that. That should have come out to 2 grams of fat. Let's see. And that's another thing. If you see something that just doesn't seem that accurate, then I would just play around with it and see like if there's another entry for it. So there we go with butter. Let's try this one. That shows 8 grams of fat, which seems more realistic. So I'm going to put that there. That's close. So if you notice sometimes, like if you do the math, 8 times 9 is 72. And yes, I checked on the calculator. This says 74. So sometimes things are just going to be off. I always pay attention to the macros. And even if the calories are off at the end of the day, as long as your macros are on point, that is the big picture. So sometimes the entries in Myfitnesspal just are a little bit off with calories versus macros. Macros are what matter the most. All right, so there we go. We still have 74 carbs, 24 fat, and 62 protein. So we have a good amount of fat left. Your lunch could be a fattier source of meat. So I'm using an example of someone who's a male and who usually has more calories to work with. If you're in a dieting phase and your calories are much lower, obviously you're going to have like a little less wiggle room, but you can always come to me if you need help figuring this stuff out. But for lunch, let's do king salmon wild. Now, keep in mind, like the different types of salmon and stuff like that do have different macros. So here we go, 1 ounce raw. Let's go with 4. It's gonna give us 13 fat, 23 protein, no carbs. So I'm actually gonna go with 4.5 ounces. Add that in. It's gonna give us 15 fat and 26 protein. So with the salmon, we still have carbs left. So I'm gonna go with sweet potato. And 200 grams, let's see. And I just keep checking back and forth with my remaining carbs and everything and see what I have left. So still have a little bit of carbs. Gonna add a green veggie in there. So let's go with green beans. Let's go with 100 grams here. Good. Okay, so we still have little carbs, fat, and protein. So there's different things you can do here. You could do a protein shake. You could do a protein bar. We do try to stay more with the whole foods. Protein powder is fine, but protein bars have a lot of like additional ingredients in here. So we try to get some whole food sources in there. Some other things, we're still a little bit low on fiber. So one thing I might do here is just add a little bit of, let's see, gonna go for Ezekiel bread instead of an English muffin, or Dave's Killer bread is a good option. So just knowing your foods, I know that Dave's Killer bread has a good source of fiber. There is 2 grams of fiber, 3 grams of protein, and 21 grams of carbs in one slice. So I'm going to add that in there. And what else? Again, we don't want too high of fiber in your pre and post workout meals because that will slow down digestion. So we're really trying to get those things in other meals. One way we can get some fats in is adding some nuts. So we could do that at lunch. We could do some macadamia nuts with that meal. And at this point, it's just, it's just playing around with what you have in there until you get the right amounts. So it's just patience, and then you get used to these things and you know like how much of what is in each one. So let's see. So we could do some macadamia nuts there. That could also be as a snack or something too. And I don't care if someone uses that as a snack instead, as long as it's spread out away from their pre and post workout. All right, we still have 30 grams of carbs, 30 grams of protein. So I'm going to go ahead and add a snack for this person. So on someone with lower calories, I'm probably only going to do 4 meals plus their intra-workout drink. But for someone who has a little bit of higher calories, I'll usually end up adding a snack. So I'm going to do Faye 0% Greek yogurt because we don't have a lot of fats left. And let's see, 100 grams. I think one serving is 170 grams. Okay. So their yogurt is pretty high protein, but I'm actually going to just make sure that that is accurate. Yep, that was right. So 5 grams of carbs and 18 grams of protein there. So we're close on our protein goal. We can add some more carbs. So what that means is we can add more fruit. We can add more, like you could add something like honey onto your yogurt. So honey, wild honey. And again, I'll go with like milliliters. Let's see, 10 grams will get us 11 grams of carbs. So let's go with 15. Okay, and then I'll probably just add some berries in there. We already did raspberries, we already did blueberries, so maybe some strawberries. And yes, you can eat this much fruit. Carbs are a great fruit source. I mean, fruit is a great carb source, so do not be scared to add that in there. So that's... See, I'm just playing around with the numbers, so I don't have this all memorized by heart, but I know I have 7 grams of carbs left, so I'm just adjusting this until I get to that 7 gram mark. There we go. 85 grams of strawberries with that yogurt. There we go. So I'm on target with my carb goal. Like I said, our goal is to be within 3 to 5 grams. I really like to be within 3 grams of fats because there's more calories per gram in fats. So fats have 9 calories per gram. Carbs and protein each have 4 calories per gram. Alcohol is its own macro and has 7 calories per gram. We're going to get to alcohol in a second. Okay, so what's left? I still am a little bit low on fiber, but at least if I get to 28, I'll be happy. At least 14 grams per 1,000 calories. So first I'm going to go with the protein. What can I do here? So I can add more protein at breakfast by just adding some liquid egg whites. Good. I love when I find one that is in grams or milliliters. So let's see. 100 grams. Add to diary. All right, so now we hit our protein, we hit our carbs, we're 1 gram from our fat. If I really wanted to be like crazy, I could adjust the butter or something to get to the right amount of fat. So if I wanted to be nitpicky, I could do 11 grams of butter instead of 10, and then it's zeroed out. So you really can just do it like that. Now again, we have a little bit of fiber going on here. So again, we don't really want the fiber in the pre or post workout meal. It wouldn't kill us to have like a couple more grams than that, but if we can do it somewhere else, I will adjust. So green beans, 1.5, and let's see, how many grams of fiber here? There's 6 grams of fiber in the sweet potatoes. I'm going to try red potatoes and see if we get some more fiber. So even if you have the whole thing down and you're like, well, I still didn't get my fiber goal, you can just start playing around with other things. Like you don't have to like give up on hitting that goal. You just keep playing around with things until you get the right amount. Red potatoes. So you want like, let's try the USDA one. So let's go with 175 grams because I did add some more green beans. Let's see where we're at. So now I am a little bit over on protein, a little bit under on carbs, and that did not help fiber. So you just got to keep playing around with things. So now we'll try 200. Yeah, so sweet potatoes and red potatoes are pretty much the same on fiber. Something you could do is do some avocado. So instead of the macadamia nuts, I could do a little bit of avocado. So just playing around. Like, and I kind of wanted to show you this too, is like, you know, what you choose might not be the best thing. So you really just want to keep doing it until you get it exactly right. And then once you have everything like to the gram, then you just take that plan and use it for the rest of the week. So once I get this all figured out, I'm not going to have to do this over and over again. I'm just going to repeat it for the entire week. And then, you know, if I'm not sick of it at the end of the week, I'll use the same plan next week. And then when you do get sick of things, you don't have to change the whole plan. You can just change, instead of sweet potatoes, you can do red potatoes, or instead of salmon, you can do like beef or something like that. So it's just swapping out little things. Okay, so I'm getting closer on the fiber here, a little over on the protein, so I can just take it down a notch on the liquid egg whites and do like 80 grams instead, see what that does. There we go. And then, like I said, I'm being pretty like nitpicky on the exact numbers right now, but I'm really just showing you like how easy it is to dial these things in. All you have to do is play with the serving sizes. So I'm going to go a little less on the honey so I can get more berries. And when you're picking your foods, like, yes, like, see, everything on this plan is like a single item. I mean, there's bread, but besides that, like the eggs, turkey bacon, butter, egg whites, salmon, green beans, red potatoes, avocado, like these are all single ingredient items that I'm choosing. And that's really how I recommend that you build your plan. Now, that doesn't say there's not a time and a place to include things like, you know, pizza or, you know, boxed items, prepared items, but that's not going to be something that you want in your day-to-day all the time. Now, yes, there is something processed like rice checks and there is the bread, but you want the majority of the foods that you choose to be whole food sources. And the reason for that is your digestion is going to be better and you're going to have a lot less digestive issues if you're getting your foods from that type of thing. Okay, so getting closer here, we're going to do 145 for strawberries. Okay, so now what happened is fat went over by 1 gram. Like I said, like it's totally fine to be within 3 grams, but I'm just going to keep playing around with things to show you guys that you can easily adjust. The biggest fat sources on here are the butter and the oils. So that's what I'm going to go to first. So, because if I change the salmon or I change the avocado, that's going to also change my protein and carbs. So there we go. I zeroed it out. But like I mentioned before, the calories are going to be a little bit off with a lot of the entries in Myfitnesspal. So as long as you have the carbs, fats, and protein zeroed out, that is the main thing. But I do want you to be aware of the fact that there can be invalid entries in Myfitnesspal. So when you go to scan something, like you can scan the barcode instead of like manually typing something in. I would just compare the barcode, like what's on the nutrition label, to what's in Myfitnesspal, because sometimes user error, people incorrectly enter it in. So that's on you to make sure that that's correct. And again, make sure that you're entering like the correct thing, like salmon. Is it wild king salmon? Is it Atlantic salmon? And then as far as like, you know, different vegetables and stuff like that, just make sure you're logging the correct thing. And with like meats, chicken breasts, chicken thighs, those have different amounts of fat in them. With beef, you can buy like 93.7 or you can buy like 85.15. So it really does depend. So you want to make sure you're paying attention to what type of meat and the fat content when you're buying that stuff. So that is how you get a whole day. Now on your phone, these things come up on different screens. There's like a nutrient screen, and then there is a macro screen that shows you this thing. I want you to totally avoid this stupid macro chart. It's nice to look at the end of the day, but it really messes with people's heads when they think they're eating the right amount of percentages and they're not. So what you really want to look at is the nutrient screen. So I'm going to pull it up on my phone just for a second. So you're going to go to more, and then you're going to go to nutrition. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that, but you're going to go to this middle tab. So the tab on the right is macros, tab on the left is calories, but you want to use the middle screen, which is nutrients. And it's going to tell you your total for the day, your goal for the day, and how many you have left. So kind of the same as what's on the screen right here. So that's what you want to go by. And then the other thing I wanted to go over is what if you're going out to eat. So I'm going to do this on another page. I'm not going to go through an entire day because we'll be here forever, but say you're going out to sushi with your boyfriend or girlfriend and you want to get a California roll. You're going to go ahead and do this before you go out to dinner, before you eat anything else. So you're not going to do it at the last minute. If you want to do this tomorrow, want to go out to eat, you're going to look this up ahead of time. So there's going to be a million entries for things for like going out to eat. So if you want to get sushi, just try to find the most realistic thing in here. So just a regular California roll. Try to look for like how many pieces. Like this is a 6-piece roll, but is it an 8-piece roll you're getting? Then you could update it to 8 pieces. Rainbow roll. And if you're getting sushi, make sure you're logging things like, here's an 8-piece one. So say you're going to do an 8-piece rainbow roll and you're going to do a seaweed salad. Like make sure you're logging all this stuff. And say you're going to have soy sauce. Then you're going to have ginger. Make sure you think about all this stuff ahead of time. Same thing goes if you're going to have a burger. Make sure you track like burger, fries, ketchup, mustard, all of those things. Condiments count too. So this is how you would roll. That's just one roll with a seaweed salad, and that's 500 calories and 67 grams of carbs. So that's fine. If that's what you're going to have for dinner tomorrow on a night out, then you log that meal first, and then you plan the rest of your day around it. So obviously, if it's your post-workout meal, then you're going to try to get it to fit your post-workout macros. But say you worked out in the morning, you do your pre and post-workout meal and just adjust everything around that. So you would build your meals around that meal out. That's how you deal with meals out. If you know you're going to go out to eat, just plan as close as you can. I'm not going to say this is the most accurate thing because it could be wrong. The roll could really be 600 calories or it could be 300 calories. But at least you're putting something in there and it's not something you're doing every day. So as long as you put your best effort in and choose the one, if there's one that's 500 and one that's 400 in the database, just choose the higher one just to be safe. Now, if you're going to have a drink, this is where you're going to put your own entries in for like liquor and stuff like that. So I went over this example with someone earlier, my foods. So they said they like Tito's. We looked it up and Tito's is 98 calories for 1.5 ounces. So what we did is we used that all from their carbs. Now, if you looked up Tito's in the database, it says one shot is 70 calories and it says no carbs, no fat, no protein. And the reason for this, like I said, is alcohol is its own macro and it has 7 calories per gram. But I don't have an alcohol goal for you. So we're going to pull those calories out of your macros for carbs or fat. It's up to you which one you want to pull it from. So in this case, I pulled it from their carbs because they have more carbs to work with. But if they wanted to pull it from fats, they could change that custom entry to be for, sorry, they could edit that entry and make it all fats instead. So if they wanted to use it for fats, that would be around 11 grams of fat instead of 25 grams of carbs. So that is how you do that. Now, if it's vodka soda, soda has no calories like club soda, so you don't need to log anything. But if you're going to have Moscow Mule, you would have to find a Moscow Mule mix in here. There's the mix. 3 ounces of it is 60 calories. It might be more. Like I said, there's a lot of entries in there. So if you want to be on the safe side, you could look for one of these ones, 160. That cocktail, that includes the alcohol. So I think, yeah, like 70 calories seems like it could be accurate. Let's see. 4 grams of carbs. I don't know if this is a good example because I don't really know exactly how much is in there, but 15 grams of carbs seems more accurate. So we're going to put that in there. So if you're going to go out and drink and have a meal, then that's taking more food away from you. So it's definitely not something I want people doing on a regular basis, but of course I do want you to have flexibility in date nights and things like that. So that is how you would do that. And then you would just plan the rest of your day around that. So you're not going to not eat the rest of the day, but you're going to just plan your meals. You still have plenty of carbs left. You have a lot of fats left. You have a lot of protein. So protein's like the biggest thing. If you see this meal is only 28 grams of protein. So you want to make sure you do like eggs and egg whites in the morning. Might have a protein shake as a snack, have a protein heavy lunch, things like that. So that is how you would track an entire day, plan your day out. That's how you would track a meal out on the town, and tracking drinks as well. So let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully this was a little bit helpful and makes it a little bit less overwhelming. And just like I said, you have to keep playing around with the numbers. It's once you get used to it, like you can see how easily I thought of foods that have like fiber and fats and proteins. And then once you get used to what foods are what, that's really going to help you out. So don't give up, just have patience and really play around with the food items.